And 1, 2, 3, we are alive once again. Welcome back, everybody. Stephanie Hunter here, and of course our beautiful Karen Crichton from Pi here in New Zealand. Welcome back, Karen. How you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm really good. Thank you very much for having me on these things. I love it. Love being able to share the information, and it's really nice. I've actually had some feedback from the last one, so it's cool.
Oh, already? Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, this is a lovely thing to be able to do for ourselves. I mean, I'm really into learning stuff all the time, and even though what we're talking about, I've heard about before. Remembering and being reminded and relearning is a great thing to do. What better time have we got then now, eh?
Say that again.
What better time have we got then now?
Absolutely, and it's great. What a gift, because we've been talking for years about how do we share our information and how best to do it, and of course we've been given this wonderful gift of time. Isn't that cool?
It's so great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get straight on to it, because we made the promise to everybody we're going to keep these videos under 10 minutes each.
Yeah.
And we did very well yesterday. It was only on beautiful magnesium. We were a couple of minutes over, but so understand that because magnesium is such a huge subject.
Yeah.
So let's get rocking and rolling and do the same for this one. So today's guest is our beautiful salt, or sodium.
Yeah.
Talk to us about sodium, Karen. How the benefits of it and where to get it from, and how does it help us?
Sodium, much maligned product. It was pillared during certain periods of our existence about how bad it is for blood pressure and everything else. But what people actually forget is it's the quality of the product. So what's happened in our world where everything gets sort of split up and processed and things, and so you end up with sodium, as in table salt, with added extra iodine, but they've taken out all of the other important components that is salt. Salt is so important. So if we look at sodium, part of salt, it's extremely important. It's one of the most important components of our bloodstream. It's an important electrolyte, and it's an essential ion present in the extracellular fluid, so the fluid that buzzes around everything. One of the health benefits of sodium is the pivotal role it plays in enzyme operations and muscle contraction. And so also regulation and fluid maintenance within the human body. Really, really important. The other benefits include improved heart performance, nervous system, and glucose absorption. And so we need it for blood regulation. And just like we talked about magnesium being vital, so is sodium. So if you want to know about the magnesium component, you can go back to the video that we did on magnesium, but it's a vital element. If we don't have enough sodium within our bodies, we can die. It's literally that vital. And although we do get it in a lot of foods, I'm not saying you have to add lots of salt, because you do, having sodium, we get it in most vegetables and fruits and everything, but we don't always get a lot. And so especially if you're outside sweating, or if you're exercising or doing anything that makes you perspire and do that sort of thing, you need more. So it actually is a critical way of us balancing ourselves. And of course, too much salt can go to risk of stomach cancer and hypertension, but that is when you have the sodium that's been taken out of everything else, because the other minerals that are within salt bring it into balance. And it's very unlikely that you drink too much or have too much or whatever. So there is a proviso, and if you suffer from kidney problems or edema, it's a good idea to restrict the amount. But most people don't take too much, because basically you don't want it, do you? If you have too much salt, it's there. So it's also important for cellular activity and central nervous system function. So, it's really finely balanced, but it's really important. Like so many things, is if you have enough, your body will function so much better. And so If you have deficiency of sodium, so say for example, you've been really strict with yourself, you've been told by your medical professional or whoever to reduce the amount of sodium. If you have diarrhea, vomiting, headache, general weakness and debility, low blood pressure, lethargy, weight loss when you haven't been trying, confusion, dizziness, and muscular irritability, as in like the shaky legs or whatever, it's very likely that you're not having enough sodium. So one of the ways you can really tell is just to add a little bit of salt to your water. And that will quite quickly show you if the dizziness, for example, goes away, then it's sodium deficiency. So it shows up quite quickly. If your body's really going to come right, it'll show up really, really quickly. So it's a really important. And so as a practitioner, I would always, always, always recommend that you get the best quality salts. And for me, over the last sort of 20 odd years, I've been recommending Himalayan salt. And the reason is, of course, it comes from the Himalayas. And unlike a lot of our seawater, which has been polluted, the Himalayas hasn't been touched with the pollution. And so that's why most practitioners recommend the Himalayan salt. Or, you know, you can get good quality sea salt. I'm not saying not to have sea salt, but the reason I like to refer people to Himalayan salt is, from my feeling, is it's the best. And if you can afford the best, go for the best.
You only need a little bit anyway. So we go back to the old adage where people think they can't afford quality.
Yeah.
But realise this, when you're having quality, you don't need a lot of it.
Yeah.
Quantity drops because your body is getting the nutrition it needs and it's satisfied. So your hunger turns on.
Yeah. So the best food sources of sodium are apples, of course, salt, soup, homemade soups and things, cabbage, egg yolks, pulses, bananas, even carrots. And then of course you've got the other thing like baking powder and soda and things, but you're not likely to have very much of that. Turnips, leafy vegetables, dried peas are good sources. Then you can get processed cheese, which unfortunately, unless you're getting good quality salt added to them, you have to be quite careful when you buy these products that are produced. But if you can get smoked fish and salty meats and things like salamis and things, if they've been used without the chemicals and using sea salt or Himalayan salt, then you're getting the best quality you possibly can.
Ask.
Yeah.
Make sure you ask. And yeah, don't be embarrassed about asking, guys. I've been through the situation myself with having a child who was very food intolerant and food sensitive. That I had to ask the really hard questions of the producers, asking what soil are you growing your fruit and vegetables and what sources are you getting your salt from? And had to go right there. Somebody wanted me to have some salami, for example, using your example that can. I had to know what everything was in the salami and where they were sourced from.
Yes. So this comes back to knowing what you're putting in your mouth and what you're putting on your skin, doesn't it, Stephanie? It's really going, right, where does this come from? And do they produce this ethically, and do they produce it how you want it to be? And so that's why we sort of go, right, this is the best. Because, I mean, you can always research for yourself. You know, you can go and dive into the salts and find what feels right. Eh?
We encourage you to do that. We encourage you to do your own due diligence. This is an informational video. We're not directing you to any particular product or brand. We're not selling it ourselves to you. We're giving you information as to why you need sodium.
Yeah.
And also due diligence.
Also remembering that it can prevent sunstroke. So if you or your children go out in the sun, make sure you're having enough. That's why they sell these electrolytes with these horrible sugary things. But if you and your children going out, a bit of salt is good, you know. It can prevent it as long as you're drinking lots of water. Then that can really, really help prevent heat exhaustion and sunstroke.
My clients ask me how much salt to the water, and I basically say to them it's taste test.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at a litre bottle of water, take your smallest finger and a quarter of your nail bed. Yeah,
we have to be a bit careful with the taste test, Stephanie, because, you know, like we talked about with zinc, If you don't have enough zinc, then you won't taste it.
Brilliant.
So remembering that, and guys, I would recommend going to a health shop or practitioner or something and get a zinc taste test. As I say, I never charge for it, but others might. I don't know, but it'll be very little. But at least you'll know, and you can gauge as well. Yeah,
love it. Wonderful. Very, very, very informative about our beautiful friend salt. And salt is very often misunderstood and given some pretty bad press. So it's nice to put it straight.
and
Thank you so much for that great information.
It's my absolute pleasure as usual.
Okay. Any questions, guys, drop them down below as per usual, or you can send us emails, or there's multiple ways to contact us. You can even use a good old courier pigeon like the old days. But we're here to help you. Once again, we're here to give you information. We want to inspire everybody with the education and to equip them to look after themselves, become self-sustaining. So we're going back to basics. Did you know, Karen, that home economics is not taught in schools anymore? And basic nutrition is not taught either.
Wow, that's amazing.
At least. I know that as soon as I said that, there's going to be somebody saying, oh, yes, I got taught it at school. Great, fantastic. But it's not that common anymore. No. We also know that basic nutrition is not taught to a lot of medical students either.
No. Yes, I do know that. And I was fortunate enough to, when I was working in London in a clinic, and one of my clients, well, many of my clients were medical doctors, but one in particular worked in one of the teaching hospitals, and he was actually head of, I don't know what department, but it was. And I was talking to him, and I was saying, how come, they say that nutrition is not important? And he said, well, basically, this was a few years ago, so it might have changed, but I don't think much. He said, basically, they have less than 3 hours of training in nutrition throughout their whole training.
Your training's what, 7 years long?
Yeah.
3 hours over 7 years. And yet without nutrition, you die.
At most 3 hours.
It's probably an optional paper or something, an optional lecture.
Yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable. However, saying that, I'm not going to be here to belittle anybody. I'm here to offer help, and that's what we're doing. We're putting on filling that gap. So fantastic, guys. So today was all about our beautiful friend sodium, aka salt, and how it benefits you. Any questions, do ask. But come back and join us for the next videos, because there's going to be a lot of these going on. Take care, everybody. Any questions, ask. If you particularly want us to involve or go deep diving into a nutritional nugget that you have an query on, ask it that, and we'll make it the next shoot. Okay. Thanks, awesome. Karen. Speak to you very soon. Take care.
Okay, see you soon. Bye.